Hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. We're here again with Sandy Kreisberg, founder of hbsguru.com and a candidate who wants to get into an elite business school. This is Fridays with Sandy. Today,
Shalom, everybody. Happy
Yes,
Easter, happy Passover, and let's say hello to our applicant and have him pronounce his name correctly.
Giriraj.
And we'll call him Giri because that's his shorthand for his name. He is a mechanical engineer. He had an 8.6 GPA out of 10. He is phoning in from Bangalore. He's got a 710 GMAT. He works as a wells engineer for ExxonMobil. He is 25, about to become 26. And his dream schools are MIT, NCOD, Kellogg, or Darden. And he falls into that tough bucket, male Indian engineer, which is probably the most overpopulated part of the applicant pool at elite business schools.
Yeah, it's overpopulated with a lot of talented people. Did you mention his prior application history? Hey, Gary,
No.
Gary's a great nickname for a mechanical engineer. Let me say that.
I get
true.
that. I get that. Yeah.
Do they call you Gearhead
or
or?
just Giri?
So Gary got an invite to interview at MIT and was turned down at Kellogg and Duke.
With no interview. Okay. Yeah. Is that correct?
So, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So he's going to be a reapplicant and trying to improve his story and his profile to get into some of these schools.
Yeah, well, I mean, my advice to you is real simple, and we may have said it already. You mentioned that you've taken the GMAT, you got a 710, and then you took it again and it went down a little bit. That's unusual, but I want to get this in the very beginning. Sandy Kreisberg's first commandment of applying to graduate school, get a high GMAT score, particularly if you're a male Indian engineer, even if you have to take it as many times as they let you. I don't know what the rules are now, 5 or whatever, but keep taking it. The schools don't care how many times you take it. The schools just want the number. John, do you agree with that?
Yeah,
what about the holistic?
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, okay, you're raising the point. What about my career? I've had a successful career. I'm with a world-class company, ExxonMobil. There aren't a whole lot of applicants in the MBA pool who are from the energy sector or from ExxonMobil. Shouldn't that be enough to distinguish me in the pool?
Yeah, it should distinguish you a little bit. On the other hand, you've already been rejected from MIT, Kellogg, and Duke, so I think they've answered the question. Given someone with a distinguished career or given someone with a higher GMAT, guess who wins? Don't call me cynical, okay? Don't shoot the messenger, man. Okay.
Well, yeah,
So,
you've had great experience.
Keep taking the GMAT until you get at least a 730. Is that what you'd say, Sandy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I'm applying,
did you get feedback from, well, you weren't were you interviewed at Kellogg? No?
No.
I mean,
Wow.
Kellogg interviews everyone, right? Almost 89%
right.
candidates. So I was interviewed at
Feedback
Kellogg.
from any school?
No, I specifically requested feedback from MIT and Kellogg, but they didn't give any.
They tend not to do that.
All right.
And I think the other.
Okay, you're applying to the right places. You might.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, let's say you really want. What's the next group of schools you could apply to, John, that are a little less selective than MIT, Kellogg, and Duke? Where would you recommend he? Well,
I
think a safety school.
I wouldn't necessarily say safety, but I'd say a great school for you could be Carnegie Mellon. A great school for you could be NYU Stern. A great school for you could be Michigan Ross.
Yeah, well, given his goals, which one of those is, like, I think, like, what job do you want Kirosh, tell me what job this is one of my favorite questions, along with my next favorite question, which I'm going to ask afterwards. What job do you want after business school?
I would probably stick with consulting.
No, you got to say, I'd like to be in whatever they call them, an associate consultant.
Associate consultant.
Associate consultant, very good at top. I'm losing my marbles here. I've already
MBB.
done my Passover. Yeah, those top consulting firms. What are they, John?
McKinsey, Bain, BCG.
MGM or what is it?
MBB.
MBB, yeah.
MBB. So McKinsey, Bain, BCG, Accenture, IBM.
Yeah, okay, but you could he get those jobs? Which you could get those jobs out of any of those schools, although to get a job at McKinsey, Bain, or BCG from like Stern, you've got to be outstanding, wouldn't you say, John?
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there are a lot of other places that could see your experience as an engineer in the energy field and see that you'd be an ideal match for their energy practice.
Yeah, and all those are positives. And the ExxonMobil, man, that's gotta have some impression. Let me ask another question to you, Gary. Whose job do you want in 30 years?
That's a difficult one, but I think I would probably want to continue within the energy space, come back into the corporate strategy in the energy space.
Yeah, well, that shouldn't, given those are your desires, it's not a hard question.
Yeah, you should say you
will
want to
lead one of the energy companies someday.
You should know. You should have the answer to this. You should be more informed. You should go, I want to be an energy company leader, and that could be, either, allow me to say the CEO or division head of even ExxonMobil, the guy who runs that, or, thinking possibly a little more realistically, I admire Joe Blow, who's head of Asia or head of Middle East, North Africa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's helpful.
You should have those things at your fingertips.
Yeah,
agreed.
That shows you've done your homework. You know what you're talking about, and it provides a little more. How would I put it? Ballast to your application.
Conviction and intelligence, not ballast.
Yeah.
I've said this every week for the past 2 years. No one's ever answered the question. Don't ask me why. Even when they find out they're going to be interviewed, oh, I'm going to be interviewed. Sandy's going to ask me whose job I want. Well, there's no penalty for screwing up with the John and Sandy show. This is we're judgment free. We're not judgment free. We're deeply judgmental. We're consequence free. There's a difference.
The positives here.
This is consequence free. Yeah.
You're with a world-class, well-known company that is highly selective in its hiring, ExxonMobil. That company and that industry sends relatively few people into the elite MBA pool. That differentiates you. You are only 25, so you have some roadway here to improve that GMAT score. You took it twice. The second time you had an unusual outcome because it went down. Usually it goes up. I think when you take it the third time, you're going to see a much, much better result. And you only need 20 more points. That's what we're telling you to get into the bucket, right? And then the other thing is,
I think a 730 would change the. I hate to say it, but I think a 730 could really
20
change
points, really?
The difference between a 710 and a 730, man, it's colossal. I don't hate to say it. I'm just saying it. Okay, it's a fact.
Okay. Yeah.
We know it's ridiculous. Okay, we know that. We know it's a matter of 2 questions on the damn test.
Blame the schools.
How ridiculous it is and how competitive it is.
Well, I kind of like
here's why.
into...
Here's why. U.S. News and World Report. That's why the schools are enslaved to the rankings.
But didn't I,
Rankings.
maybe I correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I read like the GMAT will not be considered in the rankings. Does that change things? Maybe I read.
No. The U.S. News
It-
does count GMAT scores.
It does, but that's what I read. Like they might have updated the process, is what I thought.
Only for online MBAs, but not for full-time MBA programs. So you know,
There you go. That's why we have John around.
and a 730 isn't going to get you into MIT, I don't think. And it may not get you into Kellogg, but it could get you into Duke, Darden, Tuck, NCOD, possible. Don't you think?
Well, when you said you applied to MIT LGO, is that some sub program there?
Yeah, it's a dual degree program, masters. So I applied for. They would give me masters in mechanical engineering plus masters. I mean MBA in 2 years. It's a program that probably fits very well with my profile.
Well, maybe
And something
maybe
I was very interested in.
730 might have a shot because of that program. I mean,
Yeah.
No, but they interviewed me. So, I mean,
Yeah. What did they say in the interview? How come you don't
was
have a higher GMAT score? Hey, glad to meet you. What's with this 710?
well,
Go ahead.
it was a very quick 30-minute interview. It was just standard questions like why MBA, why this, why that, and
Yeah. You didn't get any feedback, huh?
no feedback. I actually separately wrote an email to my interviewer asking feedback, and she said no. I mean,
All right.
we cannot offer.
And who were your recommenders?
My mentors actually.
So you're
Were
pretty
you
sure you
able
got-
to, these guys are deep sea engineers, right? Do they write a lot of
Yes.
recommendations to graduate school?
Never. I don't think so. I don't think for like.
Okay,
business
you've
schools.
got to collaborate with those guys, including. No, I'm not kidding here. If these guys don't know the game, okay. There's one thing they don't know is the rules of gravity on planet admissions. The rules of gravity on planet admissions is this guy is the greatest guy I've ever met in my 30-year career. Okay, on planet admissions, that means he's okay. Okay, they got to know that.
Exaggeration is good.
It's not good. It's
Understood.
demanded.
It's what is okay.
And
Yeah.
it's hard. And now they do understand that, Americans tend to be more exuberant in the recommendations generally than people who are recommenders from other countries and other cultures that have more of a tradition of being more humble and, and less aggressive.
Yes, that have to live by the real rules of the world instead of the rules here in America. Where?
So that's why.
Pour me another one, Bill.
That's why Sandy's saying you may need to do a little coaching and say, given your relationship with these mentors, you could say that, hey, other people are getting recommendations that they'll compare against mine. And
you just got to be honest with these guys. You got to go. Recommendations is a joke, and what helps is if you have a lot of specifics topped by some whipped cream of saying this guy is really one of the most distinguished guys I've met. Instead of saying this guy is impressive because he can do 1, 2, and 3, that's what their tendency would be. You have to say that's good, but you need a paragraph before that. The paragraph before that is this guy is one of the most remarkable candidates I've met over my 40-year career because of 1, 2, 3. You get the difference?
Yeah.
It's both specific and it's telling them you're really good.
I think you're really good, and here are some reasons.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's. I don't want to beat a dead horse. It's critical, man.
Yeah.
So
You might say, gee, the schools know that. The schools do know that, but they have another thought process. They go, yeah, we know that, but we also appreciate kids who can game the system because that's what we're looking for. You think I'm kidding?
And what about, I don't know what your essays were about or how they presented you as an individual.
Well,
You got a lot going for you.
yeah, and I think one of my difficulties is my role is pretty technical. It becomes really difficult for me to convey that to someone, to convey that in a very layman.
Good point. You've got to put that in in everyday terms. Like the bullet you have here for your current job, operations engineer, cyber exploration at ExxonMobil, a company you may have heard of, strategized drilling operations and led the engineering surveillance by collaborating with 12 service providers, okay? That is very important. That shows that you could deal with different functional people in different ways. That is the business schools, one of their definitions of leadership is I was able to work with different people, different specialists in different ways. Okay, that's something you should really bring to the highlight in your essays and tell your recommenders to say that.
Understood. Yeah.
And
I think that's something probably I might have not done pretty well with my first, my recent application. Yeah.
Good.
Which is what I realized.
Don't you find that the more applications you do, you tend to get better at it? Like practice doesn't necessarily make perfect, but it makes you better.
It's a usual rule. Let's just make sure it happens by doing what I tell you to do, okay?
Okay, so number one, get a better GMAT. At least
that's number 1, 2, and 3.
At least 730.
Got it.
Cultivate your recommenders and help them give you the best possible recommendation you could get. Craft your essays and your resume to play up the leadership roles that you've played in collaborating with these clients or customers or whatever. Another thing I would say is I would add a couple different schools to the mix here. Maybe you do Carnegie Mellon, Michigan Ross, NYU Stern. Incidentally, in the energy sector, it wouldn't be bad. Rice University has a great MBA program, and they're in the energy area. And if you're a consulting firm hiring Rice MBAs, you would want someone for your energy practice out of Rice. Okay?
Yeah, that's a great tip, John.
So it's not a bad thing. UT Austin, same thing, right? Because that puts you in the place where the big headquarters are for many of the big energy firms. And that means the consulting offices who consult to those firms are there as well. So that's another option.
Yeah, those are real good tips, John. He's not blowing smoke up your butt. In your case is very special because you're a rare applicant from ExxonMobil. So he's telling you how to do a force multiplier there, how to leverage that.
Yeah.
And he's right. Good.
So hey, good luck to you. We're ready for you. You just go and do the tough love with the GMAT. Unfortunately, we hate the test, but they take it seriously. And as much as they talk about holistic admissions, oh boy, that GMAT is important.
But that's what I believed, and I applied in the first place.
I know. But remember, you are from a highly overpopulated part of the applicant pool, so you're up.
No, I understand. Yeah. So,
all right.
Anything else?
Yeah. One more thing. If you're a reapp, it helps. One of the things they will demand in an interview, and one of the things you need to stress in the essay is, here's what's different since I last applied.
I improved my GMAT by X points.
Well, yeah, but also you have to say what's different in your, I've increased my leadership abilities. But in other words, the reapplication should basically, the essay should be basically what happened since you last applied.
Yeah.
Yeah, understood.
to the extent you can do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, Gary, and thank you, Sandy. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You've been watching and listening to Fridays with Sandy.